what we have with government, we have community volunteers mobilized who actually go from door to door or from hut to hut or from wherever the people are in the camps, but also in the host communities. And they measure, they use a tape like this, and they put it around the arm of the baby, and then that way they can measure the size of the arm of the baby. And if it comes in red, we know the child is severely malnourished. And that child is then referred to the treatment center. And the treatment center is being run by government staff. UNICEF has been supporting some of the training, support some of the monitoring. And also UNICEF, we've been providing the specialized food that is being given to the children that need treatment.
Okay, now, unfortunately, some of these children have died. And now, let's talk about the effects these malnutrition, diarrhea is going to have on those that are still existing, those children that are still trying to survive. What kind of effect is it going to have on their overall health and well-being?
No, I think you raised a very important point there. I mean, so far the discussion has been much about nutrition, but we should not separate nutrition also from water sanitation interventions and health interventions. We know that children who are malnourished, and not even severely malnourished, even the moderate malnourished children, they grow up with an underdeveloped immune system. Because they have an underdeveloped immune system, they're more vulnerable and they're more likely to get diseases, common childhood diseases like diarrhea, measles, respiratory infections, and they're more likely to die because of those kind of infections and childhood illnesses. But that, the diseases and the risk of mortality due to malnutrition, that's only one factor. We also see that nutrition is important, nutrients is important for brain development. And there's very strong evidence that children who don't get the nutrients they require in the first few years, actually their brain has not developed to the full potential. And that IQ is lower than children who have had good nutrition. And as you can imagine, that has got consequences on school performance, but also the potential to gain economically when they grow up. So therefore we always say that investing in nutrition is a smart investment. Investing in nutrition is not only building the economy of a family and an individual for the future, but also building the economy of the nation.
All right, let's come back to the studio. You heard it there, the effect of this malnutrition on the children. They are traumatized, you know, seeing all of the things that some of them may have seen. And now we are talking about malnutrition. We have, you know, underdeveloped immunity, low IQ. This is an emergency.
Yeah, it is.
Is it being treated as such?
It is it has been declared actually. The situation in Borno...
The declaration is different.
No. I will get to it. Like I said earlier, the federal government has set up a rapid response team. But I would have expected that team to have been in place much earlier. But it's better late than never. The response is now on ground. The situation has been declared as an emergency. They have declared emergency on nutrition and public health. In Burma, for instance, which was the major area in focus, there are currently 6 medical doctors fully on ground there, 2 from the Borno State government, 2 from the Nigerian Air Force, and 2 from the Medicines Sans Frontières, and then the UNICEF has also set up a structure there.
In the camp?
Yeah, in the camp. That is being seriously handled. They are applying intensive feeding system, and they are really taking. But of course, I know that in a situation where you have 30,000 people in the camp, because the numbers keep climbing. Anytime the military frees any community, the IDPs go to the nearest camp, you know, close to their areas. So the numbers keep climbing. But like I said, it is not a hopeless situation. But what is really needed is this kind of response that is now coming up from everyone, particularly from the from the federal government, the international community has always stood by Borno. We must be thankful, particularly to the UNICEF, the ICRC. In the 4 years before 2015, we were on our own, except for their intervention. Thankfully, the federal government of today is also committed, but I think if this kind of commitment is sustained, we can contain the crisis.
Okay. Let's quickly go back to Mr. DeWatt. In closing, what advice would you give the government and, of course, all other agencies that come together to ensure that, these children get the best? What advice would you say, given the government and, of course, other development partners?
Yeah, well, thank you very much. I would start with the bigger picture. And the bigger picture is that malnutrition has been a common feature and is a common feature not only in Borno, but in the whole of Nigeria, in particular in the northern part of Nigeria. Malnutrition levels are very high. And that is really the basic foundation that on which the crisis made things worse in Borno. There are many children in the northern parts of Nigeria that have got severe acute malnutrition, and we need to expand our joint efforts to reach all these children. So that's one. Focus on all severely malnourished children in Nigeria, in particular in the northern part of Nigeria. But now zooming on Borno, because of the crisis and because of many of these families having been completely cut off from agricultural activities and support, we see that the levels of malnutrition, in particular in these newly opening up areas, is much, much higher than anywhere else. And the levels are extremely high. It's not that they're a little bit high, they're extremely high. And there are not many places in the world where we see the kind of levels of malnutrition like we see in the newly opening up areas. And as the official from Borno says, it is indeed often that people are coming newly in where these levels are high. So we really need to have one expansion of the program, and all partners need to work together. As UNICEF, we're receiving support from the British government, from the US government, from the EU, from the Children Investment Foundation, and many of the other partners. And that is good, but it's not enough. But also the government needs to invest more. We need to have more and better food available at the right time, and we have to start actively seeking these children that need the support. And we have to start further expanding the efforts to find these other more than 1 or 2 million people that are still in areas that are not accessible. And as UNICEF, we are also very concerned about the situation in those areas of Borno where we haven't been able to go. And we can only pray that the situation is not as bad. But the information that we're getting and the snapshots we're sometimes getting suggest that the situation in those areas is very, very severe. And as mentioned earlier, it's not a crisis that is going to be solved tomorrow. As areas opening up, we will have to continue our efforts to support all the people that are going to be able to be reached in the coming period. All right, sir.
Right. In closing.
Yeah, we expect, like I said earlier, sustained commitment on the part of all the stakeholders. I wouldn't have any word for any of these international partners because they have been up and doing. But what I would expect is enhanced coordination and prioritizing. It is very important the international communities seek the input of, of the Borno State government. We are the people on ground, so that we prioritize any intervention. And we look forward to, like I said, aggressiveness on the part of the federal government, but because the response was slow.
Okay, thank you.
We hope that now we are happy. There's a rapid response. Let's sustain it.
All right, thank you very much. We've been speaking with Issa Gusau, SA Communication and Strategy to the Borno State Governor. Thank you for coming. And Ian DeWatt joined us from our Abuja studio. He's the Chief of Nutrition of UNICEF Nigeria. Thank you. Sunrise, we'll be back in a moment. Please don't go away.